Hi everyone, it's Allison in my violin studio, and today I'm going to talk about chromatic scales. We're going to do a chromatic scale starting on G, and we're going to go up 3 octaves. Keep in mind there's no key in a chromatic scale because you're doing every half tone. Chromatic passages are something typically you run into a lot in orchestra work, so it's good to be comfortable with them. 3 octaves is interesting because you have to start running up the neck of the fingerboard and into positions. So there's no real rule that I'm aware of as to which fingering is superior, but you basically kind of have 2 options. And one is you can do 0, 1, 1, 2, 2 kind of thing, but that typically can be good for short sections of passage work. Not generally as successful for doing, if you're doing from one end of the fingerboard to the other. So let's do the other one, which is the other option, which is 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see that? So what you're doing is you're replacing the first finger and you're putting it. Sorry, this is a bad spot. I can't see what I'm doing. All right, stop fussing. So that was G, A flat, A, or G, G sharp, A, whichever. Now the first finger is going to move up to what would be A sharp. Okay, now look at the thumb. The thumb is not moving. So technically you haven't really changed the position. Now we go over. The hand is still in first position, but you're really low, and then the first position shuffles up. First finger shuffles up. First finger. Now here only go to 3. We don't want a 4 there. After you've got up to 3, now we do shift, a real shift. So now we're up to, that's an A sharp. So you're in 3rd position. But these are funny shifts. Probably best not to think about what position you're in because we're doing a tone and a half and then shifting. So we're kind of shifting up to halfway through 4th position. And then we go up to 6th. And then there's our G on top, 4th finger. Okay, now coming back down, let's just keep exactly the same pattern, okay? It's a little bit awkward in the sense that of where the shift falls, but let's do it anyway. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. The last one is just a 1, 2, 1. Okay, 1, 2, 1. Now 0. This is your pattern 4, 3, 2, 1. And now your second finger slides back to a B natural. And 4, that's your G sharp position. Now slide back the 2 to an E natural. Second finger slide back. Okay, so that's the pattern of the fingers. Now let's put a rhythm on that because it's much easier always in everything you do. It's really a lot easier because your brain and your fingers are having to talk to each other. Your brain, your fingers, and your ear. It's like they got to be communicating, and it's easier for them to do that if you're always working in a rhythm, because then it's kind of like if you've got 165 marbles, it's really hard to keep track of those. But if you put 5 marbles each in a baggie, then you have a smaller number of baggies. It's just easier to keep track of. So what you're really doing is just, that's why they say there's a relationship between math and music. It's all about pattern. So let's do, so each octave in a chromatic scale has 12 tones in it, or 12 notes. So let's play triplets, and let's do 4 triplets in each bow. Okay, that's going to give us our 12 notes in one bow, but we've broken them down into triplets. And let's do a quarter of the bow exactly for each triplet. And the beauty of this is what I like to call, and this is the technical term, this is idiot proofing it. Because you don't want to accidentally, because your mind, you're going to be thinking about finger patterns, right? I know you are. You know you are. So what's going to happen is you're not necessarily going to have the free mental space to know where you are in your bow. And if you come to the end of your pattern and you're still here, it's really easy to throw a couple of extra notes in that bow stroke. And then when you get to the top of your scale, you keep going, you end up well past where you were supposed to stop. And that's not good, you know, because the most important thing, especially if you're doing an exam or an audition, is to demonstrate that you know what you're going to do and that you do what you plan to do, as opposed to, oh, well, that was a surprise. It's never good. So here we go. Triplets. Triplet. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's the 4. Now, you see the up bow starts on the next G. So I started on a G down bow. Now I have another G. I start my up bow on the G. Next G, first finger, down bow. Now we're shifting, 1, 2, 3. And there we are. There's the G, so the fourth finger. So let's keep our weird pattern coming back down. So it's 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. And I have to come back and talk to you about that. I ran out of bow, didn't I? There's that 1, 2, 1. Okay, so I need to come from here. What was that? Down, up. I forget what bowing. Up bow. Look, if you have this away from the fingerboard because you're up in the air, you need to come back to it so that you can shift backwards accurately. Okay, that will save a lot of grief. Okay, now there's a different fingering you could take coming down if you prefer. You could choose to do your shift on the beginning of each triplet. So it's 3, 3, 3. And now your last shift downward. The funny thing about this is that you're shifting down, you put a third finger on the G, which is normally a second finger note. And then that's how that works. Okay, so if we play the whole thing. Something like that. Okay, so coming down, both of those fingerings have an advantage and a disadvantage. You just have to try both and see which one is going to be safest or which one you feel most comfortable with. There's not one fingering that's really brilliant. You just got to pick one and make it work. Okay. There was one other thing. Oh, yeah. So we don't have to. You may say, yeah, but I really don't want to do 12 notes in one bow stroke. And besides, my teachers didn't say I have to. So now that you've got that pattern in mind, okay, because now that you've got that pattern, it's probably feeling a little less confusing. So now let's just cut it in half, and instead of doing 4 triplets in each bow, let's just do 2. So half, you see? Okay, like that, that's easy. You can do it détaché if you want. That was the wrong fingering at the end. if you're doing it détaché, you have a particular challenge of knowing where you are in the pattern because your bowing is not going to help. The other thing with détaché is that there's a lot of notes in that, and usually when you do détaché scales, you want to use whole bows and you focus on precision and clarity of sound. If you're doing, I can't imagine that anybody would want you to do long individual bow strokes on a scale that has that many notes in it. So I think that's probably unlikely. I'd probably go with 6 or 12 per bow. I like 12 myself, but it's fun to go fast. So I can't think of anything else. Good luck. Have fun. Take care.